Good morning, Unity of Portland. We welcome you to this spiritual celebration this morning. I'm Reverend Lisa Davis, Senior Minister here at Unity Spiritual Center of Portland, and it is a joy to have you join us. We want you to know that wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here, and it's a joy to continue to serve you through these virtual services. We're going to shorten the service a little bit and change just the beginning part of it to give us more time in our message, our meditation, and our spiritual journey. I want to share with you a couple things that are happening. I thank you for the wonderful response you have given us to our month of special giving. We appreciate you doing what you can. Next week, starting at 10 a.m., our service time changes. Memorial Day weekend through Labor Day weekend will be at a 10 a.m. time to give you more time outdoors. And also, there's 2 new classes starting. Reverend Sidney will be offering Financial Freedom on Wednesday nights, 6 to 9 p.m., starting May 27th. That is, Financial Freedom is an empowering course of spiritual and mental study, specifically tailored to offer tools for successful living in this ever-changing world. And you can sign up for that on the website. And also, I will be starting a class Tuesday mornings, 10 to 12:30, June 9th through the end of July. And it is a foundational class for learning to love yourself. It's cultivating this consciousness of the divine within, using the 12 powers and other methods to hold a space in consciousness. So those will both be happening. You'll hear more about them at the end of the service, because we are moving into a place of centering ourselves, cultivating calm today. So I just invite you, wherever you've been on your spiritual journey, to remember that this journey is sacred. And we're going to move into a time of opening prayer and meditation. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. Welcome, my soul. This remembering as we gather this morning, relaxing our bodies, opening our hearts, whatever the journey has been to this place. I am remembering. Breathing in deeply, relaxing our bodies. I am remembering. There is a fullness of my being, the presence and power of the infinite spirit, this quantum, the quantum movement, the energy of love in which we live and move and have our being. It resides within. And I am remembering. With every breath, I am willing to relax even more into the space of remembering. Spirit. Love is the truth of my being. And in the silence, I remember. I allow my cellular being to know that I know that I know I am life. I am in the silence. And from that place of remembering, I allow an opening again and again of my heart, of the inner knowing that I have come to this place and this time to be a part of a humanity rising, remembering cellularly this infinite spirit within that sources me this day. I have all that I need to do all that is mine to do this day, this week, this journey, and I allow the breathing to continue, the generosity of spirit and the gratitude to journey along this sacred movement of spirit. And we are so blessed, and so it is. Amen.
I am remembering who I am. I am remembering who I am. I am remembering. I am remembering. It's all about allowing peace within, in absolute surrender, and I know that serenity begins. For when the storm subsided and calm becomes the way, it's all about allowing it to stay. It's all about allowing love to flow, setting down your burden and simply letting go. And as you cease your struggle, love pours through your heart. It's all about allowing it to start. Now feel it warm and shining, new with promise, strong, undying, love different than all you have known. And now the seed is sown, because it's all about allowing change to show, than living in the moment like it's all you'll ever know. And though it won't be easy, you can truly say you tried, for it's all about allowing it inside. It's all about allowing love to flow. It's setting down your burden and just simply letting go. For as you cease the struggle and love pours through your heart, it was all about allowing. All about allowing it to start.
Thank you, Reverend Sidney, Charlie, thank you, and to our wonderful team. I am so grateful to be in this space and in this awareness of something, this idea, it's all about allowing the beauty of life to move through us, the evolutionary journey to expand us. Now, that might not be where you've been up until now this week, or you've been through this journey. I don't know where this journey has gone for you, but I know this. There is an evolutionary impulse within you and around you and as you that seeks to live as you this moment. There's something more happening here. It wants to be birthed in humanity. It wants to be birthed in this country. It wants to be birthed in this state and this city, in your family, and in your being. And as we gather this morning, and we're actually in our 5th week of a 5-week series. So this is our last week of working with Brene Brown's The Gifts of Imperfections. And we've really been looking at the idea of living a wholehearted life and knowing that who we are, every one of us. You may not be able to see the faces around you right now, but I can guarantee you we are all one in a quantum field. And I just feel like there's this gathering of spirit that happens. And I'd invite you to allow it to happen in your home right now, in your heart right now, to know that you are a part of something larger, wherever you are. Time is not the truth. Space is not the truth. This quantum essence, the vibration of love, becomes that truth. But as we look at this journey we're on, and if you didn't remember, here in Portland anyway, we're on the 8th week of this moving into our homes and this movement of spirit that happens when we allow something, and it's unknown, to happen within our realm. This week, as we look at the idea of cultivating calm, I'm going to invite us into an ability to navigate the journey in a different way. Because sometimes when we look at the world around us, and we're looking at ourselves, and Brene invites us to start our day with worthiness, to start our day saying, no matter what happens today, no matter what I get done or don't get done, no matter if I cry through the day, laugh through the day, love through the day, bungle it all, it doesn't matter. I am worthy of love and belonging. I live from that anchoring. And at the end of our day, no matter what happens on that journey, we are worthy of love and belonging. When we begin to live from that point, and we begin to allow the movement of spirit, ourselves to be aware of the movement of spirit, there is always a movement of spirit happening. And I believe it's evolutionary. It is coming through us wherever we are. And it's actually the universe supporting us in our evolution. And a lot of times we don't like it. We don't like it. We try change and it's not comfortable. One of the things I worked on this week was saying, so how do we shorten the service a little bit? And you may have noticed if you joined in a little late, you came in right in the middle of the meditation. The funny part is, I got so nervous when we started it, I just basically went and did everything in 3 minutes instead of my planned 5, 7 minutes, giving myself time. That's what change is about. I also knocked the water over and my cough drops over and a few other things over. That's the journey. And it's okay. Because we got to feel whatever we feel. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the movement that's happening. When James O.D. said stress is an evolutionary driver, he invited us all to open to something larger in ourselves. So if we're looking at our lives, there's different ways to look at it. You have a zoom on your consciousness. And sometimes we zoom in to really small places. We might have watched the news all day. And it takes us to what we don't have or what's not going to work for us. And we can get stuck in that small picture. And if you stay in that place, it is a rough, rough journey. And that we can zoom out at any time we want and say, this doesn't feel very good, but what would I like to look at and recognize, whoa, there's a pandemic going on. I call that a cosmic 2x4. It's a cosmic global 2x4. We've been invited into something new. It's scary, it's not easy, and it's tough to see. But also the bigger picture, when we open up our hearts to a bigger picture, Hafiz said, it is written on the gate of heaven, nothing in existence is more powerful than destiny. And destiny brought you here to this page, which is part of your ticket, as all things are, to return to God. Look at that idea. It's written on the gate of heaven. Nothing in existence is more powerful than destiny. And destiny brought you here to this page, which is part of your ticket, as all things are, to return to God. What we're doing right now. I invite you to recognize what would happen if I went into a place of living from an awareness of the presence of the infinite in the universe and allowed a larger picture. Oh, on my life journey, this right here is a movement. It's a movement. And I can choose at any time to cultivate something more, to cultivate calm, to cultivate an awareness of the presence of God. Jesus actually talked about the kingdom of heaven. And I think it's funny when George Lomza, who was a Bible scholar and came from the same part of the world as Jesus, came and saw the Bibles we had, he would laugh and say, that's not the right translation. That's not the right translation. And he did it many times, and he wrote a whole book just on our idea of the kingdom of heavens. He said, this is a mystical consciousness. This idea, and that it's within us, is an opening to something larger. But Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is like the treasure hidden in a field, which someone found and hid, and then in their joy, they go and sell all that they have and buy that field. What he was saying is, it's something very valuable. And the next thing, again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. On finding one pearl of great value, they went and sold all they had and bought that pearl. We're being asked into a larger knowing, a larger understanding. And I just invite you, as we look at this idea of how we go through the journey, your life journey, if we're still zoomed out, and you look at your whole life journey, every part of it is an invitation to love yourself, to love the journey, and to allow the light within you to shine. It didn't stop with a pandemic. It just amplified a little bit. And so what we get to do is find a place in our brain where we can cultivate. We can cultivate something larger. And Brene, in her guideposts to really finding the ways that we can live fully, in this guidepost, she said, one of the things is cultivating calm and stillness and letting go of anxiety as a lifestyle. The one before it was cultivating play and rest, letting go of exhaustion as a status symbol, and productivity as self-worth. I think the whole planet has been invited into that one. But what would happen if we cultivated calm and stillness and let go of anxiety as a lifestyle, found another way to live from that place? And I want to talk about this idea because when we do this, we get to acknowledge anxiety. Fear with pressure and a few other things mixed in has often become a way of life, and we think it's normal. It doesn't mean it's healthy. It may have become normal. But the truth is, we didn't come with a life journey that needed to be that. Instead, I believe we came to open to something larger. And I want to acknowledge right here before we go any further that I know we're in the same storm, but we are not all in the same boat. And I acknowledge that very, very clearly. I think one of the blaring ways you could see that this past week was, and many of you know, last week I talked about Ahmaud Arbery and what his journey was in the death and how he was running, literally jogging, looked in an empty house very possibly, went on, and in a house being built, went on, as many people do, and then was shot down. But this week in Miami, Florida, a white man ran 2.23 miles carrying a TV as if he had just taken it. And he was welcomed, waved at, and never questioned at all. There is a different boat we're all in. And I believe part of our journey right now, part of remembering, is widening our vision. Because the old story was, if you live in America, anybody can make it. That's what I heard. And I heard it a lot in the Midwest. I heard it different places. Now I open and I realize, yes, every one of us is an infinite creation of spirit. And every one of us is here to evolve. And that includes looking beyond when our life works to say, how is the larger humanity around me working? Because until that works, my life isn't truly working. I've just got my marbles in a little bin and it looks safe to me. The truth is that creating a humanity where together we rise, together we recognize the divine in every being is where we're going. So some people have a different level of this experience, and I do not want to belittle it at all, but I do believe that every one of us came to live centered. Because when we do, we have the ability to be open to the divine inspiration of spirit, and we find answers. That when we're in fear and anxiety, we can't even get out of the feeling of it. And so Brene said, when I realized that I lived in a pool of ongoing anxiety, this is what she wrote. She said, I used my research to formulate a plan to lessen my anxiety. The men and women I interviewed weren't anxiety free. They were anxiety aware. Fear doesn't go away, but it moves to a center, and we find something larger than that. They were committed to a way of living where anxiety was a reality, but not a lifestyle. It's gonna happen. We're gonna mess up our little new change. When change happens, when things happen, it's gonna be there. But we have an ability to rise above that. They did this by cultivating calm and stillness in their lives and making these practices the norm. How's the breathing going? How's the life that came to live as you? There is a presence in you and a reason you were birthed at this time in this place with a work to do that is yours. And it's a part of the healing of humanity, every bit of it. She went on to say, calm and stillness are different and we need them both. Calm. I define calm as creating perspective and mindfulness while managing emotional reactivity. That was one I'd not heard before. I define calm as creating perspective and mindfulness while managing emotional reactivity. And this idea of, and I want to focus on calm for a while before we go into the stillness, because it's really powerful. What does creating perspective and mindfulness mean? She went on to say, when I think about calm people, I think about people who can bring perspective to a complicated situation and feel their feelings without reacting to heightened emotions like fear and anger. They feel their feelings. We're here to feel all of our feelings. Those of you who have been plowing through the 15 commitments class with me, and we're just about done, all of us will hear more of these because we're not in any way, we haven't mastered them. We've introduced them and looked at them. But one of them is feel all your feelings. It actually only takes 90 seconds for a feeling to move through us if we know how. But sometimes we get stuck in a circle. And she said, that when I think about calm people, I think about people who can bring perspective to these complicated situations. What do we do? Do we keep our zoom on the news and everything that's wrong? Or can we find a bigger picture? It's a picture of evolution. It's a picture of movement. It's a picture of humanity finding a larger answer and an awareness of itself. You could say it is the universe becoming aware of itself as we move through this journey. Psychologist and writer Harriet Lerner says, anxiety is extremely contagious, but so is calm. When I live from a center, and you have a center of, you can call it God, you can call it spirit, you have the infinite intelligence of this quantum field that lives within your being. We can breathe into it. Most of us have been taught, no, you're less than whole, you're not good enough. Somewhere we've taken that on. But the truth is we are. And the truth is we came to know our wholeness. We came to know ourselves as that life. And so the question becomes, and this is from Brene, do we want to infect people with more anxiety or heal ourselves and the people around us with calm? What if that is what you came to do on this life journey, is to find a way to move through this evolutionary journey? 13 billion years of grace. I can't say it's been easy, but beings evolve when they allow what scares them, what pressures them, what squeezes them the most to expand them. And they have a larger view and a larger way of seeing and understanding humanity. She said, if we choose to heal with calm, we have to practice calm. Unless we had calm modeled by our parents and grew up practicing it, it's unlikely that it will be our default response to anxious or emotionally volatile situations. And Brene said, for me, breathing is the best place to start. I have to say, I don't know any other way other than beginning to breathe. Just taking a breath before I respond slows me down and immediately starts spreading that calm. I believe your life, your journey, is one of finding the sacred breath and allowing it to move into the places that scare us. One of the things that I talked about Wednesday in the Little Spirit Live, and I want to talk about again today here because it's so important. Rick Hansen says right now, we all have to remember we're evolutionary beings, and he goes back into our brain and he said we've got this prehistoric brain, we've got we've got the limbic system, we've got these ideas back here that are prehistoric, and then we move to this frontal lobe where there's more thinking, and I believe that it connects into and moves through our heart and our being. But if I'm back here, it gets pretty scary. And he said what we need to do is pet the lizard. And him growing up in Southern California, and I remember my brother, while we lived in Southern California, catching these geckos all over the place. And he said when it gets cold, they freeze. But if he would pet their stomachs, they would relax. And he'd just place them on his shoulder and they'd stay for hours. And he said, right now, we live in, and these are my words, we live in some collective stress. And you may live in stress because of the journey you're taking, long-term journey. And he said, we need to be petting the lizard by saying, I am safe, again and again. Remembering, oh, I'm safe. Oh, I am, and I move into, I've been doing that all week, and I couldn't believe the difference. I've been doing, I am safe, I have enough, and thank you, God. That's been my petting the lizard this week. I'm safe. I'm safe. He said if we did nothing but that, it would shift in so many ways our lizard from back here up to where we could see and think and say, wow, I'm in. It takes our zoom into, wow, I'm in an evolutionary movement of spirit. I keep thinking of Pierre Teilhard de Chardin when he said the next evolution will be an inner evolution, and it will be this generation. And I think for a lot of us, we thought, well, we've already had it. And of course, the universe says, oh, honey, just wait. Look what I have in store for you. The idea is evolving. The idea is, can we take what's in our lives and allow something more to happen? Part of it is managing emotional reactivity. Dr. Harriet Lerner, in her book, The Dance of Connection, explains that we all have patterned ways of managing anxiety. Can you believe it? Imagine that. Our brains have formed a way that we do it. A lot of us just shut down. She calls that underachievers, or underfunctioners, excuse me. And she said they tend to get less competent under stress. They often invite others to take over, and they become the focus. You know, in your family, they're like, oh dear, she's the fragile one, be careful, or oh, she goes crazy, or oh, this, or this, or this. And we probably think that about ourselves. But we go into under-functioning, or we go into over-functioning. Let me solve it for everybody. Life hurts, so we solve a problem. We solve a thing. We do this, we do that, instead of leaning in to the hurt. Leaning in to what's being asked to be birthed. Leaning in to, whoa, this is heavy. This is the sacred shadow of what's happening in me, and finding that answer that I am whole. I am lovable. There's truth within all of this. So she goes on to say that seeing these behaviors, whether we underfunction or overfunction, as responses, they're pattern responses to anxiety, they're not who we are. Much of the time, the universe has said, that's who you are. The world around us may have said it. We have said it. The truth is, you are an infinite creation of spirit. Your brain has taken on a pattern way of reacting to anxiety, and for myself, as I note those patterns, many times you could label them PTSD, you could label them this, you could label them that, but the truth is what we're asked to do is enlarge our hearts, enlarge our being, know that there's something more here. Yogi Amrit Desai says, your strength is in your calmness, in the clarity of your mind. Strength comes from putting the negative aside without reacting when in calmness and consciousness and balance. And I don't know about putting the negative aside all the time. I believe when we lean into it, we don't have to react to it. Oh, that happens. And for me, when I began this journey, I took the little things that used to throw me off, and I just said, oh, and I gave them a big energy 0. You can go into, I am safe, I'm enough, I have everything I need in this moment, all of the breath, all of the space, all of the movement of spirit, because it's within me. We begin remembering who we are. And then simply breathe into, oh, and that too. Oh, that happened. Oh, that happened. And we find that that's just simply something that happens on the screen of life out here. It doesn't happen to us. It happens for us. And everything that's happening right now, I'd invite you to see it as your ally, as something that has come to bless us. Yeah, it may be a tough one, but I would invite you into something larger. Brene also talks about stillness, and the concept of stillness is less complicated than the concept of calm, but for many of us, it's difficult to put into practice. But it's getting quiet enough to have a clearing. I believe holding ideas of truth in the stillness, much like Reverend Sydney does. By next week, it'll be at 9:30, her meditation time, but it's a beautiful opportunity to hold something larger. In closing this service, I want to read to you. It's titled Vision Quest, and it's from White Eagle, the Hopi indigenous leader and this wisdom teacher. And it says, this moment humanity is going through can now be seen as a portal and as a hole. The decision to fall into the hole and go through the portal is up to you. If you repent of the problem and consume the news 24 hours a day with little energy, nervous all the time, with pessimism, you will fall into the hole. But if you take this opportunity to look at yourself, rethink life and death, take care of yourself and others, you will cross the portal. Take care of your homes. Take care of your body. Connect with your spiritual house. When you are taking care of yourselves, you're taking care of everything else. Do not lose the spiritual dimension of this crisis. Have the eagle aspect, that from above, and see the whole, see more broadly. There is a social demand in this crisis, but there is also a spiritual demand. The two go hand in hand. Without the social dimension, we fall into fanaticism. But without the spiritual dimension, we fall into pessimism and lack of meaning. You were prepared to go through this crisis. Take your toolbox and use all the tools available to you. Learn about resistance of the indigenous and African peoples. We have always been and continued to be exterminated. But we still haven't stopped singing, dancing, lighting a fire, and having fun. Don't feel guilty about being happy during this difficult time. You do not help at all being sad and without energy. You help if good things emanate from the universe now. It is through joy that one resists. Also, when the storm passes, each one of you will be very important to the reconstruction of this new world. You need to be well and strong. And for that, there is no other way than to maintain a beautiful, happy, and bright vibration. This has nothing to do with alienation. This is a resistance strategy. In shamanism, there is a rite of passage called the quest for vision. You spend a few days alone in the forest, without water, without food, without protection. And when you cross this portal, you get a new vision of the world because you have faced your fears, your difficulties. During this time, this is what is asked of you. Allow yourself to take advantage of the time to perform your vision-seeking rituals. What world do you want to build for you? For now, this is what you can do. Serenity in the storm. Calm down. Pray every day. Establish a routine to meet the sacred every day. Good things emanate. What you emanate now is the most important thing. And sing, dance, resist. Through art, joy, faith, and love. Resist. Be reborn. And again, that was from White Eagle, Indigenous Hopi Elder. What I know is that we are humanity, divinely created, whole, infinite and complete, every one of us. And we are here to learn to live as peace, individually, collectively, and globally. And I just want to thank you for being a part of that. I want to share with you, we're going to receive our tithes and our love offerings in just a moment. And during this month of special giving, May, I'm so grateful for all of you and all that you did. In a few moments, a slide will go up that shows how you can give in different ways you can. And we thank you for being a part and doing what you can. And you get to hear a story from someone in this community. And today it's Ken Cozy's. And I'm very excited about who he is and the energy he brought to this community and sharing this. And so he says, and this is what unity has meant to him, what this community has meant to him. Even as a child, I knew that there was something not quite right about the idea of a God that I was supposed to simultaneously worship and fear. I thought the concept was, at a minimum, contradictory. When I was old enough to decide for myself on how and what I believed, I ran as fast as I could from organized religion. I knew that there must be other people who thought as I did, that God is not some entity in some faraway place, but a spirit, an energy, a life force that moves through us. Enter Unity of Portland. The first time I was invited for a Sunday celebration, I was skeptical, to say the least. I wondered how this would be different from anything else I'd experienced. What I found was the unicorn, a group of people who thought as I did. But honestly, it was more than finding like-minded people. What I really experienced from the first visit was fellowship, warmth, and a feeling that I was welcome anytime. What I experienced after that was a shared doctrine of meditation, self-care, and a belief that infinite spirit is not the destination, but the journey. And more importantly, because infinite spirit moves through me and as me, I have been reminded that I am the journey, and the journey is me. This is one of the things that will endure about unity long after we have all departed this life. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to my friend Diana for the initial invitation, to Reverend Lisa and Reverend Sidney for the messages that are always relevant and lasting, to Barbara for always knowing that I belong, to the board for appreciating what I bring to the table, and to the congregation for their kind words of acceptance and affection. With love and blessings, Ken Cozy. And thank you, Ken, for you brought love and acceptance to us also. We do it all together, and we hold every being right now in our hearts as we bless these offerings, these gifts. And we say, divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen.
There's just one presence, there's just one light shining in the world like a deacon in the night. There's just one power we all can share, one great power everywhere. One great power, one great love, big as the ocean in the skies up above. One great spirit waiting in prayer, one great power everywhere. Yeah, one great power everywhere. There's just one purpose, there's just one spark burning in our souls like a candle in the dark. There's just one chorus we all can sing, with one great power let it ring. I said there's one great power, one great love, big as the ocean in the skies up above. One great spirit waiting in prayer, one great power everywhere. just one light shining in the world like a beacon in the night. There's just one power we all can share, one great power everywhere. I said there's one great power, one great love, big as the ocean and the skies up above. One great spirit waiting in prayer, one great power everywhere. Oh yeah, one great power everywhere. Oh, one great power everywhere. Don't you know? Yeah. And so it is.
Oh, yes, and so it is. Thank you, thank you. We are so blessed. We are so grateful to be here. We'll stay on in just a moment to share with you more about these classes and this time and this new series. And we are going to take in this unity prayer. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. We love you. And I just invite Reverend Sydney to share some about this financial freedom.
So this is a great class. I hope that you will join me. We are starting a week from Wednesday. That's the Wednesday after Memorial Day. We are going from 6 to 9 p.m. You can sign up online. And here's the deal with financial freedom. It is a whole brain, whole body designed course. So there are not just the left brain elements in which you read and you study and we discuss, but then there's another aspect that brings in our sense memory, our physical memory, so that we are disrupting old belief systems on every level, and we are implanting new belief systems on every level. It's a fun class. Normally this class is over $200. It's an 8-week class, but we are offering it to you for a $100 love offering, a suggested love offering, or as I like to call it, a suggested spiritual self-investment. Now, if you don't have that right now, that's okay. I don't want anybody to not take this class because they think that they can't pay for it. Enroll for the class. We just want you in the class. If you're able to pay that, great. If you're able to tithe more, that's awesome too. You can do this online. We would love to have you do it. Like I said, it starts a week from Wednesday. We only have space for 30 people. So sign up now. Don't miss this. It's going to be great. This is the opportunity to really, really shift your relationship with money, your relationship with abundance, your relationship with Source. See you there.
Thank you, Reverend Sydney. And I want to share with you a couple different things. First of all, the class that I'm starting, Reverend Sydney's, is fabulous. I've been a part of it before. It's a powerful way. I'm also starting a class on Tuesday mornings. If there's enough interest, we'll do Tuesday night, but right now we're focusing on Tuesday mornings, 10 to 12:30, starting June 9th and going through the end of July. And this is an idea of recreating the image of ourselves. Do we truly hold the space that we're safe within a universe and that we can allow an image, a larger image, to form in our lives? It's the prerequisite for learning to love yourself. It's the basics for it. It includes the 12 powers. I haven't taught it in this way before. Again, I'm doing it as a $100 love offering. Please feel free. That's what we are setting. If that isn't possible, you can move through that. Go ahead and sign up online. So that is Tuesday mornings, 10 to 12:30. I wanted to share with you that we are still doing our outreach. This is another piece. We're still doing our outreach. Bring food, non-perishable items here. Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 12 to 4. They have been taking bags. I think this week we took 10 bags of non-perishable items to the transitional schools so that they are able to share with their 60 houseless students and their families. It's been a great part of us being able to make a difference. You can also give through our push pay if you'd like to just give money, and they will buy those items for you. 4 weeks from today, another item I want to share with you, we are starting a series as we move through this journey, and we're not through it by any means, but we want to ask the question, how are we going to live? How do we want to create this new normal? And so we're going to do a 7-week series with small groups. And again, you can sign up online. I know we have 2 times and dates for those small groups. You'll hear about them this coming week. We've got, last time, all of our small groups filled up. I know our intention is to have 5 to 7 of them so that you can be a part and connect, because our invitation to you is to have the courage, the compassion, and the connection in your life that you know you're a part of the solution, of the movement of spirit. And I believe I have done all of them that I was going to, other than, remember, next week we start at 10 a.m. We go to our early time. We want you to know that we love you, we bless you, we include you in this movement of spirit, and thank you for being a part.